Good evening, gamesmen. Your assignment is to gain intel on the complex design of IO Interactive's Hitman 2, as it seems to have given players an unprecedented level of agency within its globe-trotting sandbox. As always, I will leave the topics of interest up to your discretion. Good luck, gamesmen, and do try to put on a good show.
Opportunity. It's the catalyst of the game's design decisions. You see it in the architecture of the spaces. You feel it in the tangibility of the objects. You hear it in the candid convos spoken in the crowd of caricatures. And it's all about creating opportunities. Imagine a fishing game that gives you one pole and one pier to fish from. Well, Hitman gives you all the poles, tackle boxes, fishing lines, hooks, lures, guns, poison, dynamite, and a way to move across the whole sea. But the catch is you're here for the sharks. The International Contract Agency, aka ICA, is the politically neutral assassination organization that employs the services of one Agent 47, the best in the clandestine business of necessary evil. The games thread the amoral needle straight through the jugular of universal ethics by framing the targets as war criminals and the like. 47, though dispassionate and ambivalent, is guided by his handler Diana Burnwood. Following a guided mission almost inevitably offers you a private audience with a mark who, and this is quite interesting from a narrative perspective, will express their general awfulness to you right before you ensure they won't be in Hitman 3.
Take care of it yourself, understand?
Yes, Mr. Rangan. Thank you.
Bloody idiot.
Old Montezuma thought this thing was bad luck. What a loser.
Each assignment begins with a cinematic briefing, at the end of which cinematic letterbox bars fade from the screen and 40 steps into a space that feels so cinematic you'd think it was fabricated by Ken Adam, the genius production designer of some of moviedom's most iconic set pieces. So what does Hitman 2 add as a sequel to 2016's Hitman? Aside from a briefcase and some improvements with the lighting, not much. Besides new disguises, scenarios, gadgets, and 6 new breathtakingly gorgeous locations. So yeah, it's just more Hitman, but in a way that adding a second strat to my collection would be just more guitar. I mean, who knows what new creative ideas could come out of that? And whether you consider yourself a thinker or a feeler, you'll likely find your creativity tickled in the diverse and lovely sandbox locations of Hawke's Bay, New Zealand, Miami, Florida, Santa Fortuna, Mumbai, Whittleton Creek, and the Isle of SGAIL in the North Atlantic. So what do you do as the most famous gun for hire? You surveil for intel on your assassination target, then you manipulate the world, the people, and the items to work in your favor. While you can go in guns blazing, that tends to not only be unfulfilling but also a fool's errand. No, I find the best approach is to paint a mosaic of interconnected interactions, combining the various colors laying across this world's palette to form shapes of destruction that barely hold up under their own weight of the Rube Goldberg mousetrap that gets sprung in extravagance while you coolly sashay towards exfiltration. It's Home Alone meets James Bond. Before every mission, you play a pre-game of preparation by choosing a weapon and a couple pieces of gear. One of the biggest reasons to replay, besides the multitude of scenarios you can try and the new locales to discover, is the unlocking of a myriad of new toys. For the first run-through of a new locale, your preparation selection is really a shot in the dark. What to bring? A silenced pistol, perhaps? A lockpick? Something to melee with? But as you get to know a place and its own peculiarities, you'll intuit a playstyle for each area, while simultaneously unlocking new items for each playthrough. Of course, the world offers a veritable buffet of toys. Besides lethal and non-lethal anti-personnel items, you have different types of keys, distractions, and the occasional head-scratcher item that makes you think, what does 47 want to do with this?
How is something like this going to kill anyone?
All it takes is a little imagination and a lot of patience.
Like early on in Miami, you can pick up a magazine with the picture of your mark, Robert Knox, on the cover. You already know from your briefing what he looks like, so it seems there's some useless redundant filler in here.
What are you thinking?
But 1800s playwright Anton Chekhov developed a now famous storytelling principle. If in the first act you have hung a pistol... Okay, I'm not going to do the accent. If in the first act you've hung a pistol on the wall, then in the following one it should be fired. Otherwise, don't put it there. The world of assassination is armed to the teeth with these Chekhov's guns.
Knife on the table over there.
You hear about them in conversations between random characters. You see them in the world, sometimes by using your Hitman's scanny sense. This is a great example of how the game engages your creativity.
Target acquired. Dummy C.
For example, there are robots in Miami that use facial recognition to open fire on hostile targets. All you'd have to do is scan a picture of your mark. Otherwise, don't put it there. In a sci-fi world, you need to have the rules of the world explained to you before you can even interact. Here, though, you can see plausible cause and effect relationships because the places and the gadgets mirror things from our own world. Picking up a letter opener in real life is less than exhilarating, but here, you instantly understand what that could maybe be used for?
What are you thinking?
It really is Blue's Clues, but lethal and less creepy. Now, what does 47 want to do with a water hose, a fish, and a car battery?
Yeah, it looks like an accident.
I gotta say, I love the graphic design here. I love the tracked, bold 2D overlays. I like the vibes of Quantum of Solace. Love the Hitman logo even. But I'm mainly referring to the briefing videos. The menu UI, however, can be a bit diminutive, and white on gray is never a good choice. But when it's good, it's great. And now we come to what is probably 47's most cunning tactic. He's trained for decades to pull off this skill that literally separates life and death and leaves people as lifeless, empty shells of their former selves. Acting.
A handsome pledge. And yet, a drop in the ocean.
Yes, he won't be winning any Oscars, Golden Globes, Emmys, or... You know, the Game Awards needs a name for its trophy. Hey, did you know it was designed by Weta Workshop?
Miss Knox, I'm ready for you.
While he won't be winning awards for his performances, isn't that kind of the point? His job is to not be noticed.
Don't use 7 words when 4 will do. Look always at your mark, but don't stare. Be specific, but not memorable. Be funny, but don't make him laugh. He's got to like you and then forget you the moment you've left his sight. And for God's sake, whatever you do, don't, under any circumstance.
I mean, when I act, drawing attention to myself is my predominant motivation. Well, after serving the story, of course.
And that is an actor's job. That and, pretending to be other people.
I don't like combat all that much, but you're meant to avoid it here. You can do third-person shooting, but you shouldn't. Like you shouldn't kill non-targets, but knocking them unconscious and stuffing them in a dumpster is perfectly acceptable. The game is funny, but it's definitely dark humor.
And a year closer to death.
Oh yeah, I guess that's kind of funny.
This game about a bringer of death somehow carries the tone of the macabre with all the weight of a Looney Tunes Acme explosion. It kind of reminds me of Horrible Bosses. I mean, who wouldn't want to throw Kevin Spacey out a window? There's that Bond sophistication in there, yes, but with a wink of Roger Moore in a spacesuit. I came for the puzzles and I stayed for the world. The toy box grows deeper as the challenges push you to think around problems rather than through them. It's a slow, methodical stroll through your mind palace set to suave music and ridiculous sight gags. You could say every game asks you to don the disguise of someone who's not you while you walk through thought experiments to test the boundaries of what's possible. And arguably, no game does this better than Hitman.